Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is the Take for Market Rebellion on this Friday, on a week that I've not seen something like it in a really, really long time. If you go back to Wednesday, the final 2 hours of the day after basically flatlining, we absolutely screamed to the upside. Well, yesterday, we not only screamed to the downside, but we erased all 900 plus points that we'd made on Wednesday, finishing the day down over 1,000 points on the Dow. NASDAQ, just brutal, down 650 points as well. Just unbelievable, quite honestly. When you get a 5% move in the NASDAQ, that really is saying a lot. Dow, of course, down about 3% as well. That's saying a lot. S&P, that's why the volatility index is where it's been trading of late. As a matter of fact, yesterday we closed out right around 31. In between where we were, we started off the day actually closer to 25, got all the way up to 33. And then about 31 is where we finished the day. 43.6 million contracts trading yesterday. We had crude. Now it's been on a steady kind of a pace to the upside. And here we are. We find ourselves yesterday closing out the day around 108 for crude oil, which has been something that has been on this climb for a while. We also have been seeing the climb going on in the 10-year. The 10-year not only getting over 3, actually closed the day a little bit over those levels of 3. 303 is where I think it closed yesterday. So a nice, big, powerful move there as well. Now we're looking at the Fed, everybody's commentary, everybody's got their opinions and what turned this market yesterday. But there's a variety of reasons. And some of it is, can the Fed actually control inflation the way they would like to and get things in order? And we've talked about threading the needle. Everybody's talked about threading the needle. It seemed like it was looking at on a pace to be threaded. And then, boy, did that get erased very rapidly. So yesterday, what were some of the biggest sectors getting hit to the downside? Consumer discretionary, absolutely by far outstand everybody else, down 6% yesterday. Names like Amazon and Tesla taken to the woodshed yesterday. Technology down over 5%. When we look at that, I look at Apple, I look at Microsoft, NVIDIA, PayPal. Those are some of your leaders there. Then communications down about 4%. Facebook, Google, Netflix, you get the idea. There wasn't anywhere to hide yesterday. Financials were down about 3% yesterday. You're looking at Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, Citi, those kind of names. Materials got hammered pretty good. Freeport, US Steel, Vale, Clifford, all of those names getting smacked to the downside. So you get an idea of there wasn't anywhere to hide. There were some worse than others, but nowhere to hide. Everything was getting slammed pretty hard, except a couple of individual names out there like Albemarle. We talked about that one yesterday. It was strong because of earnings. That really did help. Obviously, bookings, another one of those names, strong because of their earnings. Charter, and let's give a lot of credit to Sarat Satie yesterday. He sat on that halftime report along with me. We went without a commercial yesterday. It was a very interesting, a lot of commentary, but so many different voices. And I'll tell you what, if you don't know who Sarat is well enough, you really should pay attention. This guy knows his stuff. He's been fantastic. He's got patience, but he also has the smarts to understand much more about the markets than so many other people, and yet didn't get the opportunity really to participate as much. And I'll tell you what, one of the names that he's been talking about for a really long time was one of those names that was actually in that green zone, which, by the way, there were very few stocks yesterday in that green zone. But Sarat, little shout out to him with that Charter Communications. That had a great day yesterday. Not just a good day, a great day. Twitter had a pretty strong day as well. And that's something that we've been talking a little bit more and more about. A lot of people said that Elon wouldn't buy it. Well, looks like he and some others are a big conglomerate that is going to turn this thing around. Maybe, but that stock had a really strong day yesterday. Etsy was under pressure. eBay was under pressure. Nucor was under pressure. Moderna was under pressure. DocuSign was under pressure. If you had a high multiple or a no multiple stock yesterday, you were most likely getting absolutely hammered. And we saw that with some of the unusual options. And I bring up, for instance, some of the put buying that we'd seen in some of those ARK ETFs that have been created. So as we get into today, what do we see? We have a Friday, very calm early on. And it's a day where we're looking at the jobs reports and all the rest of that. And yet it seemed like everybody had a little bit of a sigh of relief. And then once we started into the session, very early, we're down 350 points. We're down 400 points on the Dow. We're down 270, 300 points on the NASDAQ. But we've been chopping a little bit and getting back. And in the last 15, 20 minutes or so, when I last looked at it, we were looking at the NASDAQ still down triple digits, down about 110. And I was looking over at the Dow, it was down about 200, but that's well off of the lows of the early part of that first hour of trade. We'll see if that can hang in there or not. Crude, 108, 109, 110. It's been hanging around in that level as we talked about. Still holding up pretty nicely. You got the 10-year at a 3.1. Got Bitcoin, which got slammed, hanging right around 36,000. That volatility index is very wide in terms of the range. And that range, call it 31 to 35. When I last looked, we were trading closer to 33, 34. But obviously, things can change in a hurry in there. We've got a long day in front of us, so it should be pretty interesting to see how this plays out going into the weekend, because a lot of shifting around, of course, always seems to happen, especially as we get later into the week, into the weekend, and the nervousness of holding things over the week. We'll see how things actually pan out. Energy was the leader by a lot. It's up still, but not by as much. Energy was up about 1.5% early, up a little over 0.5% just in this first hour of trade. Materials were sinking. They were down about 2%. We did see some improvement in certain areas of the sectors that we look at each and every day for some of our leadership. Technology got cut in half from losses that were down more than 1%, down about 0.5%. All these things can move, and we all know that. That jobs report today really was something that everybody wanted to look at very closely because of what happened with the Fed yesterday. And as we looked at the jobs report, unemployment at 3.6, you look at the jobs in April, 428,000 versus the 380,000 expected. There were a couple of numbers in there that not everybody was excited about, but overall, some pretty decent numbers, actually. So what were some of the areas that we were seeing at least a rise early on and through this first hour? Well, Cigna being one of those, McKesson being another one of those beta energy names certainly starting off the day pretty nicely with ConocoPhillips and Devon and EOG and Pioneer and Valero. Valero, I'm finally out. We had some unusual option activity just the other day in this name. It absolutely was on a springboard to the upside. You got to be disciplined in this market. You've got to know areas where you're willing to sell winners and where you're needing to cut some of the losers. You have to be disciplined. Very, very interesting, explosive move we've seen out of crude of late. McDonald's, Chevron, those are some of the names that actually positive territory and look pretty strong early. Under Armour, absolutely getting hammered. As we talk about in this sort of a market, you cannot have issues within it as you're reporting those earnings or looking out with your guidance. And if you do, you are going to get punished. Under Armour today getting absolutely slammed to the downside.
Breakfast burritos. We got hash browns, cheese, eggs, maple sausage, and bacon.
Oh, but I'll tell you what, all the workers on the Key know when Lisa Najarian is driving down. I can tell you that right now. Datadog, Okta, all those kind of names. You have a high multiple, no multiple name, you're still getting in terrible negative territory today. So let's get the unusual. We got two of them as usual. Procter & Gamble's number one, trading about 154.50. We got a buyer of 21,000 of the May 13th. That's next Friday, 1 week from today. The 162.5 calls going for only about 22 cents up to 28 cents, 21,000 of those. Kind of interesting. We've seen some of this big, blocky, chunky kind of option paper of late in certain specific names. And Procter & Gamble is obviously today's name. Nice, big, chunky thing. I like this one. I'm in that as well. Roblox is one that I think is really interesting as well because it's going the other direction, getting absolutely hammered, sitting on 52-week lows, and folks are actually betting that this thing has a little bit further to go. It's trading 27.80. They're, triple digit. It's a very interesting company for what they do, and a lot of people very excited about it, but it's a matter of where are they going to go from here? And with the put buying that we're seeing today, they're buying these puts, 7,800 of the May 18 puts getting bought today, 27 cents all the way up to about 34 cents. Now, the stock was trading anywhere between 27 and 29, but looking for something pretty significant to the downside. And when we see something like this, it doesn't have to get smoked to the downside. It just has to move. And if it starts moving to the downside, maybe these puts will take action as well. Folks, have a great day of trading. I hope you have a great weekend as well. You got to relax, got to take a deep breath. The markets will continue to be very volatile, at least for a little while. I would assume it's not going to be out of character, and it would be out of character if we actually start to see some calmness, which we have not been seeing. It has been very, very wild. Got to be a lot of discipline applied while you're in this market. Folks, have a great day of trading and a great weekend.